Hey, Job here. On this channel, I invest 100% of my income and live out of my Robinhood brokerage account. Today, you get to see that in practice and see in what and how I invest my full $2,386 weekly paycheck and how I pay bills with margin. I don't pay my bills first, then invest the rest like most people do. By using margin to pay my bills, that enables me to invest 100% of my income and never interrupt the money compounding in my brokerage. So I never have to sell to withdraw. Step by step, you'll see how I invest to build monthly cash flow that'll eventually replace my full salary. That said, as always, you'll get radical transparency on my channel. If you want to see my real numbers, follow along my portfolio by checking the free Snowball portfolio link in the description below. If you appreciate all that transparency, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. As usual, just a quick disclaimer, this video is for entertainment and education purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor and nothing here should be taken as financial investment or tax advice. I'm simply sharing my personal investing journey and documenting my own results. Make sure you have a good read of this whole disclaimer. As far as the weekly flowchart, you can pause and take a look here. Won't go over it. You can check out a deep dive at the video at the top right here. But we're basically going to see this whole flowchart in action today live. So we'll just step through it. If we pop over to Robinhood, we'll see that it's another big red day today. We are Wednesday, July 29th today. So I'm investing a day earlier than normal. Normally I invest on Thursdays just because my paycheck comes in on Wednesdays now. And I just kind of make a game time decision whether I do Wednesday or Thursday. But definitely a red day today. Tech has been getting hammered. Semis have been getting hammered. There's been a big rotation of value. Yeah, I picked the funniest time to go out of SEHD, right? Because SEHD has actually been doing really good as it's been getting its rotation in value in the past week and the past month here. But I think that happened last time when I sold SEHD at the beginning of the year too, back in my retirement account. But then SPMO and VGT went on to still outperform it, but coming down some now. But we'll see how that goes. We'll stick to my guns with what I split it with. But we'll get our full paycheck transferred over here. And again, there's a lot going on this week. There's the Fed meeting happening later today, which may or may not tank the market depending on what they do. I think they're going to hold rates. It seems like it's like a 70% probability now, but yeah, we'll see. Could be a surprise hike. Who knows? If that happens, that'll definitely tank the markets. But yeah, as we're talking here, let me just transfer over my full paycheck. So the $2,386.03, we're going to transfer that full amount to the brokerage here. So let's just do that and get that transferred over. Great. So you should see this update in a second here. See the net value updated here. The buying power doubled by that same amount of the 2,386. So my margin total goes up. My margin used goes down because it automatically gets paid down. And cash available for withdrawal goes up by the same amount of the paycheck. So let's just get that invested first and then pay bills. So really, truly paying ourselves first. So a couple things first, let's get the full paycheck here. And then also, again, I want to grab the dividends from today just so we can kind of minus it out later and then see how much income we created through our investing today. So let's do it. First things first, 10% into growth. So let's do $238. Let's check the find and dip tool here if there's anything interesting. So DRAM down a lot, like the Korean stock market has been taking a beating. From kind of reading up about it and hearing about it, it sounds like there was just like a lot of leverage and margin fueling them investing into like SK Hynix and Samsung and stuff like that. And those are taking a massive beating right now. The Korean stock market's down like 30-40% in the last month or so. So that's affecting DRAM, given that its two biggest holdings are SK Hynix and Samsung. For now, I think like there's just like a lot going on there right now. I think this is probably going to come down some more. So I'm not going to touch this for now. And again, it's still like a relatively small position in my portfolio. It's really just a satellite position. But yeah, we'll just kind of let that shake out for a bit still. So if we keep going down the line, so mostly some high yielders here as far as what's down, and SPMO kind of comes up here. So SPMO, QQQM, which is close by, and this is on the 50-day moving average, and VGT a little bit more behind there. And I'm thinking I'll just do SPMO this week. It's down the most on the growth side of things. So let's just do that. So momentum definitely getting hit. I think it has a pretty sizable position in MU if we check on its top 10 holdings there. So this has just gone down a lot over the past month, 14%. Yeah, if we check its top holdings here, Micron, right? So I think a lot of it's getting hit by Micron, NVIDIA, all that stuff, right? So yeah, let's just do $238 into SPMO. So we'll see this buying power go down by that same amount. So it's by that. Great. Keep this open for the update later. And then now for the high yield side of things. So as usual, I'm going to do 2. So if we divide this by 2, 1074 on each side, right? So let's see here. Let's go back to the chart here. So on the high yield side, Chippy, and this is 90% of the paycheck. So Chippy's down a lot because it's kind of the same boat as DRAM, getting hit hard. Again, I still think this is going to come down some more. So like, I don't want to quite get back into it. Might even get back to like where I bought eventually. If it does get past that point, potentially that I might still buy some there. But Chippy, want to hold off on that. Blocks, I kind of want to hold off on that. I feel like crypto will kind of keep going down a little bit. And then also, this has also kind of the double whammy of crypto and chip exposure. And actually, because of all the chip craziness, BTCI has actually been holding up a little bit better than blocks recently, feels like. Yeah, you don't even see BTCI in the, just over here. So you can kind of see the big difference there in the last 50 days. So GIAX is the next up there on, and I think I'm going to do GIAX just because, and I like GIAX just because it's a lot more diversified, especially in the ultra yielder space. When you look at like its positions, it's like emerging markets, international, S&P, small cap, mid cap. And then what it does is that it runs its credit put spreads on some of these single names, right? Kind of generate its 24% yield. So Micron's definitely up there and probably hitting it quite a bit. Apple holding up good lately, and TSMC. So I think I'll do GIX, and yeah, whenever it does kind of get its bounce back, I think it will bounce back nicely. We kind of saw how it bounced back nicely from the Iran dip over here. It's kind of getting close to that point again. So I'm going to put half into here just to have like a decent yield coming out of this as well too, while kind of being relatively diversified. So let's just do 1074.03, get the 3 cents in there and do it in GIAX. Great. And then we have the rest of the 1074. So I'm actually going to take JG3's suggestion from the video this weekend and actually just kind of split it equally between some of the monthlies that I have. So it kind of restricts us to a couple ones. So there's like XPAY here, BCAT, TDAQ, TSPY, OVL I'm ignoring because that I'm kind of keeping as like my monthly rent income that comes in, that goes there. And Goop is from my YouTube related income that comes in. So we're skipping those. So MLPI, KCOP, and KGLD is more on the hedge side. And then BTCI is part of the ultra yielders. So just not ignoring that one for now. So that makes it 6 positions, right? So XPAY 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we divide that by 6, that would be $179 of equal buys across all those. So let's just get those all open here. So XPAY, TDAQ, MLPI, TSPY, KCOP, BCAT. All right, so that's every position there. So let's just get that open. So $179 in each. Let's get that invested. So buy that, and TDAQ as well. So nice dip today. And then MLPI as well. This is in the green because the war is popping off again. So oil is going back up. So we're going to buy that. And then TSPY down nicely today as well. KCOP, buy the dip on that as well today. And then BCAT. So still trading above NAV here, but still going to buy it. Great. So that's the full paycheck invested. So we should see this go down here. So basically only the amount from the paycheck comes out and comes off the buying power here. The margin total stays the same because money hasn't left the portfolio yet. And then margin use goes back to where it was before the paycheck came in. And then half the amount of the paycheck gets deposited, stays in cash. Now this is all going to change because we're going to pull out bills. And there was a good question in the comments from someone as far as like, they're like, why do you deposit the cash, then invest and then pull it out? Isn't it the same as if you just buy stuff on margin, then just pay bills with the cash? And then yes, technically it is. But one, it's a psychological thing. Just kind of actually paying myself first in that way is kind of fun to do and show it visually. But so on days where my bills are the same as my paycheck or more, then yeah, that kind of makes perfect sense as far as just you don't even need to deposit it technically. But on days where my bills are less than my paycheck that week, it is good to deposit it and let that cash sit because it pays down your margin balance and kind of keeps the interest a little bit lower. And then also the market keeps dipping as I invested. So you're welcome. And with my luck, probably tomorrow I'll keep dipping. And I was like, oh, I should have waited, but it's fine. If anything, I'll catch the dip next week when I buy it. So let's do that. So if we go to my bill section here, So there's only one more bill left this month. So just my mortgage. So $2,576.19. So this has changed from the $2,998 because I removed my escrow account and I'm just handling that as bills as they come due. So I have my home insurance that I paid this month, I have my property taxes coming up in October. So I'd rather do that and just kind of free up that like $400 of cash flow, right, to keep for investing. So yeah, let's just get this transferred over and then I'm going to pull that amount later after the video. So let's just do that, 205.76. Let me just queue that up on the app, on the phone, off screen. Unfortunately, we still don't have access to this on desktop, so I'm having to just do that on here. 2576.19. And let's just go back to Robinhood so you can actually see this being pulled. Put that to my savings. All right, so you'll see this update. So yeah, you saw the net value go down. You saw the buying power go down by double the amount that I pulled out. Margin total comes down as well from that amount, from the mortgage amount, and then that gets added to margin, and then the cash bill for withdrawal goes down. Right? So that's the full bill paid, and we can just mark this as paid here. So I just kind of add that, and that's a full month covered for July. And then next month, it's gonna be a big month as far as bills, just because it's been expensive with like wedding stuff this month and all that. So yeah, it's gonna be at a bigger than normal month, just an expensive summer overall compared to normal. But I think that's okay. We can kind of handle situations like that. And that's the full paycheck. We'll see how the rest of the week goes. We'll get an update on this on Sunday. But if it keeps dipping, like I might actually dip under 200. It's been a minute since I've been under that threshold here. So since April. So we've come down some when we look year to date. Not too bad, all things considered. Still positive for the year. But there's still a lot to make up. Like I honestly wouldn't be surprised if somehow we drop down to this level again and just kind of erase all the gains from the last few months. That's definitely a potential, but we'll be monitoring closely. And now let's just update the spreadsheet. So again, like I like kind of monitoring stuff manually and automatically through Snowball. So like if you're ever interested in Snowball, my link is in the description below. You can see the free portfolio. And then also there's a referral link if you're interested to get a bit of a discount. And then also my spreadsheet here, which is on Gumroad for $5 if you're interested in getting this. So let's just get this updated. Margin used. And we've actually dipped below equity here. I think like once I add my buys, I might maybe get back past 50%. Let's see. So let's add the buys here. So 120.06, this will be a little bit of an average up just because SPMO is pretty in the green. And cool. GIAX, this will be a nice little average down because it is down quite a bit. Cool. And then XPAY will be a little average up because this is actually still pretty in the green. So yeah, just a tiny average up here. So a lot more to update to with like these multiple buys. TDAQ, this will be a little average down just because it's been nicely down as well. But I have quite a bit in that position. So yeah, not too much of a average down. Cool. MLPI, this will be a little bit of an average up because it is in the green slightly. Cool. TSPY, this will be a little bit of an average down, I believe. Yep, a little average down here. Cool. KCOP, this will be a little bit of an average down as well. And its number of shares. Cool. And then BCAT, this will be a little bit of an average down as well. So nice little average down across the board here. Great. So that's all updated. So if we take a look, getting near a 400K threshold again, we might definitely dip under it if there's some more down days in the next couple of days. It's sitting at 404.5K in gross value. Margin used is sitting at 202.8K and then sitting at 201.7K in net asset value. Yeah, if we check on the split between growth and high yield income, so sitting at 180.8K in growth, so 44% of the portfolio, and high yield income sitting at 223.7K, or 55% in the high yield portfolio. As far as the margin health, so with today's dip, we've actually dipped under 50%, so we've definitely hit that critical threshold. So that changes things a bit, right? So next week, I might maybe reevaluate. Maybe I'll hold back on like my weekly dividend reinvestments potentially. And then potentially, if it's sustainably under 50%, like might maybe also just not invest next week's paycheck and just kind of have that deposit to cash. So for example, like if I added 2386, right? This would get it back up to over 50%, right? So we'll be monitoring this closely and see what happens over the next couple of days and into next week. but definitely hitting a critical area here. There is also though, like I should be getting paid from a previous job's kind of like options paying out about 6K. So that's coming in the next couple weeks, hopefully. Maybe I keep investing and knowing that that's coming in, but we'll keep an eye on it. My margin maintenance value. So my portfolio would have to drop at 101.1K. So basically 100.6 margin buffer between my net portfolio value and that. So that's a 49% buffer right now if you go off Robinhood's net portfolio buffer. But again, I like going off the gross. So this has come down quite a bit, right, from the 30% we were at. So that's at 24.87%. So monitoring that closely. My buying power right now is sitting at 77K. So you get that by doing your margin total minus your margin used. And cash available for withdrawal sitting at 38.5K. So yeah, still buffered out enough, but definitely getting smaller. As far as the monthly income, we can calculate here how much we actually made in income today through the investment. So do minus that, minus the old value. So we created $39.89 in monthly income. So if we add that up to 12, we added $478 in annual income. And then if we say do times 52 to see over like a year how much that would create. So that's closer to 24.8K. So that could get added potentially to the yearly dividends if I keep up this level of weekly investment. So pretty powerful overall. You can kind of see how that snowballs and builds up that monthly income. So that would be another $2,000 in monthly income if I keep up this level of investment. So where we're sitting after all that is roughly $5,544 of monthly income, 66.5K a year, an extra income, 1.2K in weekly dividends, $182 a day, or roughly a 29.74% yield if you go off just the high yield income assets, right, in the portfolio. And if you go off the full portfolio value, it's closer to 16.73%. So, of course, as I mentioned every week, this is not free, right? I'm paying a 4.5% interest on this full margin balance. So that's $756 a month that I'm paying in interest, but I'm making $5,544 every month, right? So it's a pretty strong spread there that I'm making with this leverage. So $4,787. So a roughly 25% yield after interest. So I wish my mortgage was on as cheap of an interest rate, right? I wish I had the buffer to just transfer my whole mortgage here. But that's where everything is sitting after all those buys. And hopefully that was useful to kind of just see this whole kind of flow chart in practice, really living out of the brokerage lifestyle and investing 100% of my income really feels good, especially on down days today. It's nice to buy the dip, and it's still dipping, like even as we're filming this. So you're welcome. But that's where stuff is at. If you're curious about how this will all end up, definitely check out my video on Sunday. And if you want to catch up on that one before, check out last Sunday's update on the bottom left here. But as usual, if you want to support the channel, definitely give a like and subscribe. And if you want to see all of my links, check out the description below for any video. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.